How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to the Enclave, South Africa's premier firearms education channel. So, today we are moving on with our self-loading rifle or carbine for business purposes, Module 3, Ammunition. So, this is a pretty quick and straightforward one, but it is important nonetheless. So, we start off with cases. There are two primary different types of cases. You are going to get your rimfire cases and your centerfire cases. I do actually have a picture up of that in one of my other videos. If I can just find that picture, I promise I'll put it up here. Otherwise, it's very plain to see. You can Google images of it. It's a very clear difference. The rimfire basically gets struck on the edge of the cartridge. I literally don't even have any cases around me. I've got like 100 of them in there, but none in here. So the rimfire is going to be struck on the edge of the case, basically on the back, but on the edge, and that is going to trigger the primer and then obviously fire off the round. Whereas your center fire round, most of you will be familiar with. It has the small round primer in the center where the firing pin strikes. So easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Those are your two types of cases. It is important to know that, but at the end of the day, most of your rimfire cases are either old ammunition or small rounds like your 22s. Those are pretty much all rimfire. So yeah, it's not super common in carry ammunition. I highly doubt that anyone really in the country is carrying rimfire ammunition for business purposes. So not really a huge big deal there. Primer types. Now here I do know people who carry rounds in two firearms, one with a burden and one with a boxer primer. There's not a huge difference. The boxer primer, the anvil is part of the primer, whereas the burden or burden, um, that primer, the anvil is actually part of the casing, not part of the primer. So that is your main difference. Other than that, the one is going to have one flash hole, the other one is going to have two flash holes. But like I say, there's not really a difference there, and you're not really going to be asked about any of the stuff we've already covered in your test. So don't really stress about it too much. We do, however, get on to bullet types now, which is important. You will potentially be asked this in your test. So we have three different types of bullets. We have the full metal jacket or solid rounds, which are, as the name suggests, solid rounds. It's a single piece usually. Potentially, it's a solid core coated in a wrapping that can be copper, it can be a whole bunch of things. There's powder coatings, all sorts of things you can coat the core with. Yeah, when they hit, they don't really do anything. They'll change shape, but that is pretty much it. They don't do anything fancy. Most of the time, it's going to go right through depending on where you hit. Next up, we have expanding or hollow points, as we most commonly call them. These are rounds that are designed to expand on impact. So when they hit the soft tissue, the bullet will actually spread apart and become wider, obviously creating bigger wound channels, bigger cavities, creating more blood loss, and ultimately resulting in more effective dispatching of targets. Finally, we have fragmenting bullets. Now, I will be honest with you, I've never seen a fragmenting bullet in real life. I've never held one, and I've definitely never shot one. So I don't know where you get them. Maybe I'll look into them. Maybe we'll do a video on the channel. We can get them. I mean, we'll still be shooting them at paper at the end of the day, so it's not really going to make a difference. But help. Fragmenting rounds are basically designed to shatter or break apart on impact. So, I know of one, and we can definitely get it, and we are definitely going to do it on the channel because I'm super excited about shooting it into ballistics gel. If I can find a range that will let me do that, I'll provide the ballistics gel. But the RIP round, chef's kiss. It apparently has feeding issues, but in certain firearms. But other than that, I've always wanted to shoot one. So basically, when that bullet hits the target, it has little petals on it that split off into the target and create many different wound channels and holes and things. I can tell you now from the mouth of a surgeon, if someone were to go into the ER with a wound channel from an RIP round, they would not fix it. They would die. Like, so anyways, yeah, that is the only round I can think of that is a fragmenting round. And I can tell you now, I wouldn't want to go to court having killed someone with an RIP round because, yeah, it's just not something you want the defense to be throwing at you. Oh, you use rest in peace ammunition. It's actually radically invasive projectile. But I mean, same thing, really. At the end of the day, if you hit someone anywhere in their center mass, sorry, I touched the mic again, anywhere in their center mass, or in the head, or even in the leg, that like they're probably gonna die. Like the odds are highly in the favor of mortality when you get hit by an RIP, especially if you were to use like a 45 or a plus P or so. Like you'd, yeah, even a plus P 9mm, like you'd have a serious tough time, you know. Anyways, moving on. Components of a cartridge. So, quite simple. Y'all should know this by now. We have the primer at the rear. We have the powder filling the casing, or yeah, I was going to say all, but that's what it's called. It's casing, my bad. And finally, wedged in the front or the collar, we have a bullet. The bullet is the only part of the cartridge or round that actually goes towards the target. So, how a cartridge works. This is very important. You do need to know your cartridge firing sequence. And by knowing your cartridge firing sequence, it's going to help you with a lot of the questions in your test. So, squeezing the trigger on the firearm will cause the firing pin to strike the primer. The primer explodes, sending a flash or flame into the casing. This flame ignites the powder. The powder burns, creating a pressure buildup behind the bullet. This pressure buildup will push the bullet down the barrel towards the target. Very important little paragraph that it can make or break your test, so make sure you know it. Care of ammunition. I find this quite an interesting section to have in here and not in the private firearms books, because care of ammunition is actually up to your employer. You should not be responsible for your ammunition. Your employer should be making sure that you are using AAA grade plus ammunition, you know, and that it is kept and cared for in a AAA grade plus manner, you know. So, yeah, common rifle types, that's really not important. And then that is that. We move on to Module 4, Fundamentals of Shooting. So, as always, if you feel like I've missed anything or you have any questions or anything to add, please feel free to comment down below. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, if you found it educational or entertaining or whatever the case may be, please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And if you've got more time, maybe check out another video here at the end. Otherwise, peace out.